What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Unordinaries podcast. Jonathan, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm here with Jonathan Buckelew. Jonathan has spent over a decade in real estate private equity, in the last several years turning that operating experience into a playbook for how AI is shaping commercial real estate. As of early 2022, he built conviction that AI and automation would fundamentally change how assets are managed. He didn't just adapt. He became one of the leading voices driving that change throughout real estate technology and AI implementation. Today, Jonathan shares that perspective with more than tens of thousands of LinkedIn followers. Additionally, he co-founded CRE AI Studio, which is an educational and consulting platform where commercial real estate professionals and companies learn to apply AI across their workflows. He combines deep institutional knowledge with hands-on technical fluency, building AI agents, designing automation systems, and translating complex tools into practical frameworks practitioners can actually use. Jonathan, could you just take a minute and explain what CRE AI Studio is in your own words?
Sure, and thank you for having me, Zach. So the CRE AI Studio was born 8 months ago because I went on this AI journey where I wanted to learn as much about ChatGPT and Claude and how to bring that into commercial real estate, but it was fragmented. I had to go on YouTube and watch these generalists or people not in our industry teach me how to use these tools. And then I had to use my imagination to actually figure out how to apply it to acquisitions, asset management, et cetera. So I thought there has to be a better way. Why not build a online platform where myself and other people within our industry can share how they're using different tools, can share how they're thinking about applying AI to brokerage, marketing, accounting, asset management, et cetera. So I linked up with two other people basically about 9 months ago, and we built the studio to not only be an education platform, but now going into workshops and consulting, something much bigger than we initially thought, and it's been really cool.
That's awesome. How has it evolved since you started? Like, was it originally a group chat and then it evolved from there? Is it a group chat today? Could members interact with other members? Or is it more like, hey, I'm going to utilize this platform just to learn, a CHEG for commercial real estate technology?
It was initially just going to be a Slack channel. And then I remember speaking to someone and they're like, I've got 75 Slack channels that I don't even check, or a WhatsApp channel
Too many WhatsApp channels.
Yeah, exactly. We know about that. So Circle or School, these online communities where you can have Slack-like chats, you could post videos and have courses and guides and all these different things. The second we saw that, we're like, let's build a Circle community where we can have everything that I just referenced, a Slack-like chat where they can interact with other members, with us as the educators. We could post content, which we do pretty much every other day. We've got a course, which we drop every Thursday. So it's really been a great place for us to teach, but also for our members to interact.
What type of courses do you teach? Could you walk through like some of the initiatives that CRE AI Studio is working on?
Yeah, so initially, and we felt, it's like when you start a platform, when you start a community rather, when there's no content and you're charging people, we felt very insecure about that. So we were just posting a ton of different things. But with AI, we initially thought, hey, things are changing every day. Let's have this open-ended course where we're at first teaching the fundamentals. All right, this is how you should prompt better. This is how you should think about context engineering. This is what ChatGPT is. This is what Claude is. And as we've gotten further along, I think we have about 26 weeks of the course right now. It's going deeper into, well, here's an AI agent and here's how you build it. Oh, Claude just dropped Claude Design last week. Let's dive into that for the marketers or for the brokers and acquisition analysts who are building decks. So it's a lot of just, all right, what's the thing that people are talking about now? And let's drop a course on that. But then out throughout the week, we're seeing what people are talking about. Hey, I'm a broker out in Texas and I'm using Perplexity Computer to do XYZ. Is anybody else doing this? And if we see a lot of people talking about it, we'll drop a lesson on that, or we'll do a live class on something like that as well. So it's a bit open-ended. As we go, we're adding more structure to it. Like we have a legal 6-week program. I'm doing an Excel program as well. But AI is just so fluid. Yeah. So we're just dropping new things as they come, trying not to to overwhelm people and do it in a bit of a structured
It's
way.
hard
but
not to. Every day
I know
there's something new.
I get overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
I'm in this every day just learning about it.
No,
But
I mean, it's extremely important. Like for Cosign, we have a head of AI that doesn't work under the engineering team, whose sole job is to synthesize all the new innovations coming out every single day and just like dumb it down for the rest of the team.
right.
And I feel like you and CRE Studio is that for the entire real estate
Yeah.
technology industry.
Yeah. Number one, I think that's so smart that you have that in house. More and more smaller companies, although your company is going to be huge soon, are starting to think like that. The larger companies, which makes sense, harder to move, they're still talking about, and I'm generalizing, they're still talking about the free version of Copilot.
Yeah.
Can't tell me how many sessions we're doing at big, large companies that we all know where they're like, can you just teach our team how to use the free version of Copilot? And I'm like, sure, this will be a 10-minute session. So, but for you guys to have somebody in-house to synthesize and distill, I think that's so smart.
I want to come back to CRE AI Studio because there's so much to
Yeah.
unpack. But before we get there, walk me through how you got into commercial real estate originally. Your background's in commercial real estate, grew up in and around the industry.
Yes and no. So my family is actually in banking and insurance. And I actually came out of college with a master's degree in accounting. I was a finance undergrad. I was trying to get into iBanking. This is like
Yeah.
09, 2010. There were no jobs. And I remember my grandfather who's my mentor, a big businessman, he was saying, you should go get your CPA. And I was like, all right, you pushed me to get my master's in accounting. I might as well do that. And I hated every second of it.
Do you have your CPA?
I have my CPA. I joined a company that had a real estate arm. And whereas stocks and bonds are a lot harder to conceptualize, but they're intangible, real estate is tangible. We're in it right now. I see it every day. I can understand it. So when I joined that real estate division at that public accounting firm, I started to interact with commercial real estate professionals. I was like, all right, here's where I'm going. So I got my CPA. I was then like, I'm going into private equity. I joined a company called DRA Advisors, which I was there for 4 years, first as a property analyst. And then I was also like, this is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I put myself in meetings I didn't belong in. I tried to help the asset management team, the acquisitions teams with technology. Really, the only thing that I really knew well was Excel, and I saw the asset management teams, not to call them out, they were not good at it. It was taking them weeks to do things I knew could be done in a day or two. So that was my in. I got really good at Excel. I helped them with investor reporting and internal reporting and just analyzing data. And they asked me to join the team in 2017, and I haven't looked back since. So that was my way in. And then just to keep going, I then joined some smaller teams, or smaller companies rather, where I built the asset management teams. And these companies, to our point before, the smaller companies that are nimble are really more innovative. I linked up with these guys who were talking about AI before anybody I knew was talking about AI. These were software engineers who were trying to get into real estate, and I was in those conversations with them, and that opened up my mind to, all right, let me try to understand technology and bring that into commercial real estate. And then it all kind of brought me to the point where I'm at today.
I love that. So just kind of taking it a step forward, transitioning into CRE AI Studio and commercial real estate technology and AI, could we unpack the different roles in commercial real estate and how they use AI today? And then from there, after we map how they use technologies today, and then how they could improve their processes using technology.
Yeah, we'd love to do that. Start with brokerage.
Sure.
So the people that I see who are the hungriest to learn are brokers, and I think it makes sense because whereas a asset manager, an accountant, et cetera.
So just for context, brokers we're referring to are institutional commercial real estate brokers.
Yeah, any brokers, yeah. But forget about residential.
Sure.
We could focus on just institutional ones. They're hungry. They're the ones who are implementing as much different tools out there and trying to figure out how to source more deals. So how do I find more deals? I'm looking for XYZ owner of McDonald's in California, using AI to find that out, pierce the veil, find contact information, use AI to reach out. They're also using AI from a CRM perspective. How do I make sure that my conversations via email, text, even phone calls, obviously with the Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, how is that all being updated within my CRM to keep it fresh? And then really presentation. So brokers obviously create a lot of OMs and things like that, using a Manus or now Claude Design or whatever tool it may be to actually speed up and provide these really good looking decks. So for the most part, they're crushing it. And where I think they could be better, where we're all striving to be better, is just really incorporating it more. There's still manual processes. There's still a ton of brokers out there who are like, I'm not touching this stuff. So it's not as if every broker out there is doing it. So us as an industry still has room to grow, brokers included. But I think they're by far and away crushing it the most.
When you think of as a broker, this applies to the other roles as well. Using AI, is it, hey, there's one or two central operating systems you can design around, like, hey, use Claude as your home base, or is it really there's 10 different solutions to be savvy on to get the most impact?
Great question. It's so dependent upon where you work. If you work at a larger company, kind of referenced it before, you are hamstrung by the tools they will let you use or they give you.
Yeah.
The smaller shops, and I don't know, is it 20 million and below? I don't have a threshold, but the smaller shops, they're finding the tools that they love. So everyone, you know this, Claude is the number one tool right now. It's everyone's using it. It was built for work. It's incredible, but it can't do everything. So I do think whether it be Claude and a Manus or Claude and Gemini, whatever it may be, just I'm seeing these brokers use one tool as the main thing and then having these ancillary tools that could do a few other things.
Well, let's go into acquisitions now.
Yep.
So what's the role of an acquisitions professional and how could they leverage technology?
The role of an acquisitions professional, depending on where you are, analyst versus senior, is deal sourcing, underwriting, going out for drinks and maintaining relationships. Can't really put AI on that. But it's just, we all, and I'm not on the acquisition side, but I help it through asset management. I see all these OMs that come in, brokers just blasting different OMs and that. And I see a ton of time being wasted on looking at deals that you could have had AI review quickly, apply to your buy box and see whether or not it's even worth it to do a first pass, or just being super slow on underwriting itself and not getting out as much volume and missing out on a deal.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I think you're going to have a follow up to that.
Yeah, I forgot.
Maybe
what I
not.
was
You
gonna
forgot.
say. I forgot. What I was gonna say.
Sorry to put you on the
No,
spot.
you're-
So it's similar to brokerage.
Sorry,
go ahead.
going back to acquisitions, I think it's actually super interesting because there's a saying that if you're a generalist in commercial real estate, you're nobody. Like you look at any of the big firms out there, none of them are generalists. Some of the biggest institutional shops, they're specialists and they have different teams of specialists, but there's no one company that has successfully raised hundreds of millions and billions of institutional capital as a generalist. Like if investors and partners are going to trust you with your capital, you need to be a specialist, and because you need to be super narrow focused in what you're targeting. And I feel like AI could potentially unlock, hey, maybe you don't need to be 100% specialist. You can go a little bit outside the box because you have more bandwidth to look through more opportunities.
The further we go,
You still can't do everything.
we still can't do everything, but the further that we go down this AI journey, the further that the trust gets built, whether it be an investor, a principal,
Yeah.
an IT, the head of IT, who is the main gatekeeper, especially at these larger companies, the more it will be a prerequisite that you have AI skill sets, that you have AI infrastructure within your company. And you're 1,000% right. Why do you have these skill sets? Why do you have this infrastructure? To allow you to go above and beyond what you could do a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, et cetera. So I do think teams will become, good or bad, more nimble, have a lot more at their disposal. They already are. I have a portfolio of 75 properties in New York City. We have a small team. There's not a shot in hell I could have done this 5 years ago without AI. The things that we're running now help us tremendously. So you apply that to exactly what you just said. We were very specific. We know these markets, but AI is allowing us to go above and beyond that 1,000%. But I do think the team needs to be able to adopt that and feel comfortable with it. And then when you go on a roadshow and try to raise money, those investors, which are becoming more and more adept at AI and understanding it and trusting it, 1,000% you're right. Like that'll be part of the vocabulary.
Do you know who David Sachs is?
Of course. I
So
listen
he's
to
like
All In
the
all the time.
AIs. Yeah, I listen all the time. Great podcast. You're the CRE AI Caesar.
Dude, I love that. I will never subscribe to that. I can never give that to me, but I love that you just said that. Because
Leading asset management teams, I assume you're the most AI pilled person on the team, of course.
Yes.
People that work with you and work for you, is it like, hey, I need you to learn this and be an expert in this by the end of next week? Like, how do you motivate your teams to leverage and use AI? And has everybody that you've worked with bought in?
it's another great question. It is even anyone's journey for the most part, especially let's focus on mine. I started just getting really good at my work and not we all went through this journey over the past couple of years. Let's sign up for every flashy piece of technology out there and give it to our site teams, give it to our analysts, and be like, I've now made your life easier. And I realized 4 or 5 years ago that was not the case, because although it might be a flashy tool to me, I wasn't the end user. And the end user needs to be bought in, to your
Yeah.
point. They need to have the training. They need to see that this is actually going to help them. So when that went wrong years ago for me, I said, now that I'm on this AI journey, let me focus on me. Let me get really good so I could really be this champion. I'm not going to be just the person who says, go use this, it's great, I hear good things. So I focused on me a lot. I got really good at different tools. And now I don't want to say spoon feeding, but I'm doing it in a way that isn't like boiling the ocean. It's not changing everything for them, because a lot of the people that I work with, who you work with, have been in this industry for a long time, especially at the site level. And to try to change all of their processes, their knowledge in their head, how they do work in a day, a week, a month takes way too long. So it's been a bit of a spoon feed. Okay, let's start with Asana. Instead of us trying to remember everything that we've worked on the past week or what we need to do, let's all just put all of our notes and our tasks in Asana. That's easy. That's not even AI. And then it became, let's all have a note taker, or let's all combine into a granola note taker. So when we have our weekly property management calls, we all get assigned different things. And just them seeing that, and different teams that I've worked on seeing that, they're like, that's pretty incredible. Maybe I actually should start learning these different tools. So it was small wins, and that's how I treated my own AI journey. Let's get some small wins as opposed to try to change everything and then build that muscle. So we're still implementing, we're still refining. There's still manual tasks that I want to automate, but I'm doing it in a more structured way because I learned too much and got burned too many times.
Do you have a company knowledge base?
We do.
How does that work? Is it like an obsidian layer where each person has their own profile? We're exploring internally right now, and just going on Twitter and searching this up. Like, there's so many different ways to slice it, and I'm curious how you structure it.
Yeah,
But it's just for clarity. In terms of a company repository, basically all Slack conversations. It's a little bit different for each person because it's based on the restrictions you have and the channels you're in. But all Slack conversations get ported to this company repository. All the granolas get ported to the company repository. All the sales calls get ported, in our case, sales calls, in your case, asset management calls, get ported to the company repository, and people could reference it at any point in time.
Yeah. So I do that. I have my own Obsidian account for free, which is great. I connected it to Granola and all these different things. So I have that personally. I have that at the CRE AI Studio. We do not have a repository for call notes other than it all gets saved down to like a drive.
Yeah.
We do have Notebook LM, where we have all these different notebooks for loan agreements, for deals we've worked on, for HR, for different processes and things like that. Having this, what people call a second brain with Obsidian, again, I see the power of it myself. I see it for the CRE AI Studio. We've taught members in our studio. Haven't done that just yet at the company that I work at, but it's on the roadmap for sure.
So you think that'd be impactful? Like, you think that's the way?
There is so much in any industry, but focusing just on commercial real estate, there's so much data out there. And we have all been, again, hamstrung by certain companies, PMS systems, et cetera, that have held on to that data, and it's been so hard to get out. So extracting all of that data, but we're talking about just something as simple as a conversation, being able to have that somewhere and then talk to it, and really not even just talk to it, have insights being pulled out of it proactively to then disseminate to the right teams. That's what I want. Because we could have all that data living somewhere, and if nobody queries it and prompts it and tries to get information out of it, then it's just useless in a sense. And you're just building the second brain, which is great to have, but it's not even being used. I want to build a system that has all of it, but then is telling me things that we're missing and things like that. So on the roadmap, it's a lot to combine the construction teams, the asset management, leasing, property management, but it's awesome that you guys are doing it. And again, I'm doing it personally, and I see the power in it.
I love it. Let's jump into asset management. What's the current role of an asset manager? How are they using technology today? And by leveraging AI, what could that evolve into?
Yeah. So what is the role of an asset manager? I look at asset managers in two different ways, because I've done two different roles with an asset manager. There's the behind the desk asset manager, who is the 30,000 foot viewer who is running the show but doesn't understand all the nuances. and is reviewing financials and reporting to investors and lenders and internally, but couldn't tell you about a cosign, couldn't tell you about a lease AI, couldn't tell you what the credit score and the rent to income ratio is at property X versus Y. Then there's the operator, which is what I became when I started working at these smaller companies. AI could be applicable or is applicable to both of those people, obviously. So with the 30,000 foot asset manager, what are they doing? They're reviewing financials. What do? You review a T12, an actual versus budget. All right, I need to pull out any variances over 5,000 and 5%. I then send an email, or I write all that down. I send an email to property manager X. I wait for that property manager to get back to me. Super manual process, but that's how so many people do it. AI can solve a lot of that. I built a skill in Claude that will view that 75 P&Ls, actuals versus budget, put together anything, not even just variances, anything that is missing from an accounting perspective. I trained it ex-CPA. I trained it on, well, this accrual should say this should be X, that should be a below the line item, that should be on the balance sheet. So I trained Claude to look at all these P&Ls, review it, spit out a PDF that sends automatically to my accounting team. Then it's the same thing for the actual variances. It spits it out, sends it directly to my property management teams. Not that hard of a thing to do, has saved me hours, especially on a 75 property portfolio.
Does it train upon itself? Like, hey, if you caught something last month where it was just classified incorrectly or it was below the line, because again, when you look at a GL each month, there's hundreds, thousands of transactions. So hey, maybe there's one transaction this month that was put in the wrong location.
Right.
Is your model now getting smarter for next month?
Yes, and I do everything. I was doing everything in chat. And if you don't know Claude, there's Claude Chat, there's Claude Code, and Cowork. I didn't get Cowork because I have a Microsoft computer till 4 months ago. But I'm doing everything in Cowork now. But Cowork doesn't have a brain, so you have to build the brain itself through a memory.md file. So the second I built that, and now I've trained it to, all right, for this skill in particular, when I run it, and if it's seeing something for the first time, add that to the brain. Remember that next time so you don't forget, because it's AI, it makes mistakes, it doesn't catch everything. But I don't rely on just the output. I'm still reviewing to a highly certain extent everything that it gives me. And I'm seeing, all right, you missed that. Let's refine the skill instructions to do that. And that will go into the memory and it'll remember to look for things like that. So it's not slowly, but surely pretty quickly getting smarter and smarter. So it's pretty incredible.
Is there one platform that doesn't exist or one tool set for asset management that you think AI could really be impactful for? Maybe it's more of a technical challenge than what could easily be done today.
I still, even with, I use AppFolio as our PMS. I have 3 different APIs for AppFolio. I'm using Claude Code and Cowork and Manus. I'm using all these tools.
Sure.
I'm still finding myself, and this could be a self-imposed limitation because I'm still trusting AppFolio to be the source of truth, still trusting the PMS. I'm still finding myself pulling reports out of my PMS that are just taking way too much time, where I should be able to just, with the things I've built, pull me a spreadsheet that has the T12, the rent roll, the P&L, the AR report, and send that automatically to this person, or send it to me to review, that kind of thing. I'm still, and I'm not trying to throw out there that I'm going to be able to replace every human being
Sure.
and do all these things through AI. But there's still, I don't know, again, I don't know if it's self-imposed or a limitation in just what a PMS is to the things that I want to do. So 5 years ago, I was looking for an asset management dashboard that on a property portfolio could tell me what's my occupancy, what's my AR, what's my 4-month occupancy, what's my bad debt, all this kind of stuff. And those things exist. There's great ones, Bubblegum BI, there's Plaza. You could use a system like Cherry to build a dashboard out there. But there's still so much manual work that I see, even with me and my knowledge around AI, where I'm going into a PMS and I'm pulling reports and I'm spending time on that, and it's just taking way too much time.
So you've worked across several PMSs. Again, I would say
I have. Yeah.
You've likely been on AppFolio since AI really became a thing. But like, how do you think AppFolio has been from like an AI standpoint, kind of leaning into its tech? Because they position themselves as the tech forward PMS. What are your thoughts on, from a high level standpoint, how other PMSs are innovating today with technology?
Yeah, I have no problem talking smack on PMSs because I've been doing that on LinkedIn for a year and a half now. And I know the guys and girls at Appfolio, they have been super
My brother
responsive
used
to
to
me.
lead engineering
Oh,
teams
really?
at Follow, yeah.
Okay. Sorry to your brother. Hopefully he was there
He,
years
he,
ago.
he was there years ago prior to Cosign, and he's still upset because we made a decision to go with Juniper Square over Appfolio Investment
Right,
Management
right.
while he was at FAO.
Okay, so he's a little bitter about that. I
Yeah.
get that. The PMSs, so I was on Yardi for the longest time. I've been doing this basically 11 years as an asset manager. Most of my experience has been outside of New York City. I was on Yardi, I don't know, 9 of those years. And I railed against Yardi for years and years. Why is my data stuck in here? Why can't I access this? Oh, well, John, you can for $50,000. We're a small real estate shop. We can't afford that. So I went against rather all the PMSs, but Yardi in particular for so long. And I always heard about Appfolio being this, to your point, tech forward. There's an API. You could do all these different things. So when I joined the company I'm at now about a year ago and they were on Appfolio, I said, oh, now I could really do some things. And I was wrong. And because I'm having conversations with so many different prop tech companies, and everyone who's trying to plug into Appfolio says we can't because they have sorry guys, one of the worst APIs out there. They're not playing nice with all these different companies. So whereas I thought Appfolio was open and tech forward, it's not proving to be that. They have their partnerships and they stick to them and they don't really deviate from it.
Do you think it's bureaucracy because they're just so big, or do you think it's just, hey, let me gatekeep so we can make the most amount of money with our...
There's definitely a component of all of this where these companies, Yardi, RealPage, Entrada, Appfolio, et cetera, are all so big. And I'm not a tech person, although I'm trying to become one through AI, and it's never been easier to do that. But the tech people that I talk to, the guys and girls who know what they're talking about, they tell me that these companies are so built up already, they've been around for so long that to go back and update code or rip out code in such a large company is a fool's errand. It's not going to happen. So they're of course trying to. I think Appfolio has Realm X or something like that. Yardi has Virtuoso, I think they dropped 2 months ago, which I do hear good things about. So I was talking all this smack about Yardi. They are starting to, but even still, I do think there's rightfully a profit motive to, we're the moat. We don't want to open this all up to all these different systems. Okay, Virtuoso could plug into Claude, but that's it. And I don't know all about it, so I might be missing something.
I think it's going to be really interesting 5 years. Like, first off, a lot of this innovation is relatively new, so they're wrapping their heads around how we're going to implement it. And then number two is there's a bunch of new PMSs that are going to launch. At least AI is launching a PMS. There's a few other PMSs that are being launched. And I feel like that is going to force these incumbents to innovate or die. And some may die. They haven't changed a lot of their system for 10 plus years, so they may die. But hopefully it ends up becoming uber competitive, which would lead to a ton of innovation in the space.
I hope so. I had this dream 2 years ago. I was like, I'm going to build my own PMS. It's going to have automations and AI. It's going to be insane. That dropped off a cliff quickly, but I hope so. But we were talking about this before. It is not that easy, especially for larger organizations, to, number one, wrap their head around switching PMSs, but then actually doing it effectively. It is a hard process to move a ship like that, to go from a PMS that's established, that people know how to use, that there's consultants dedicated to it on payroll, to teach your teams and to maintain the knowledge of how these systems work. To go over to an upstart, even though Elise AI is not an upstart, but they'd be an upstart in PMS. They're a leasing platform.
I've worked on both sides of the aisle, both as a landlord and as a technology vendor, technology provider. One of the biggest things I've struggled with is getting teams to use technology. I would say Cosign's super easy to use. We don't struggle with this, but other technology providers do struggle with it, and we've struggled to implement. And also, we had our growing pains with Cosign originally. Like, how do we kind of get the most utility for site teams to use the product? What have you seen be the most effective for getting your on-site teams to buy in? Because most decisions are made at a corporate level, and then there's a few layers in between corporate and the site teams that are most often actually the ones using the technology.
So, and we were talking about this before, that's where I went wrong 4 or 5 years ago when I said, I know what's best. Here's Elise AI. Here's Property Meld. Here's all these different tools that are going to make your lives easier. property manager X, leasing agent Y. And I saw that what I did was make their lives harder because now they had 10 different dashboards that weren't talking to one another. They had 5 different trainings that they needed to have. And not all these companies have the best onboarding, have the best training. It's what I mentioned before, just piecemeal, spoon feeding, and really making sure that they're part of the process from the start. If I demo a company that I really like, I'm not signing up for anything until I get the property manager on the demo too, till they see it, till they understand it, until I truthfully think that they authentically are saying yes, John, as opposed to, well, John wants me to do this, so I'm just going to say yes because I don't want to make him mad, or I want to be a team player or something like that. From the start, and I mean this, site teams are the most important. They're the
1,000.
I'm in New York, all my properties are in New
The
York
engine
now.
that makes it run.
I'm in New York now, but historically all my deals were in Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina. I don't know what the heck's going on there. So I need to not only trust them, but I need to empower them. And by empowering them, it's giving them the latitude, the ability to say no to things, and to actually give me, hey, John, I saw the property down the street's using this for marketing. Let's do that. And me just being open and receptive to it too. It's a general kind of roadmap, but it's getting their buy-in from the start and then spoon feeding and making sure that I'm not just leaving it up to them once we've signed the contract. It's, well, how's onboarding? And I've called out companies on LinkedIn and other places for selling us so well during the sale process, us signing a contract, and then it taking 8 months to onboard and missing out on a leasing season, or our teams being super frustrated because now their performance has gone down and now they're scared about their job security because occupancy dropped from 95 to 90 and they don't have answers.
Let's jump back into the CRE AI Studio.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I believe you've grown so quickly is because you absolutely crush LinkedIn. Like whenever I go on LinkedIn, I see
You too, buddy.
I see a few different names, and you're one of the names I always see towards the top. I would say one, your content style is super unique. The way you write is I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people write the similar way in like paragraphs or short lines, and I'm guilty of that too. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just the way I write. But you write in such a unique, it's not a bullet point, but such a line break style that it's uniquely yours. How, one, do you write that yourself? Two is like, why'd you decide to lean into content?
So I appreciate all those kind words, by the way.
And did you, when you did you change your writing style over time, or day one, you're like, hey, like this is.
Definitely changed my writing style over time. 2, I write all of my posts. Someone made a joke about that. I use AI for everything. I was like, that's not true. I've never used it. I've used it sometimes to help, but honestly, I enjoy writing the content.
Yeah.
We have a newsletter at the studio. I use AI for all that. I'm reviewing it, but it ain't easy putting out all this content. But LinkedIn is one place where I'm like, I actually enjoy popping out my phone and just writing.
Do you clean the content using AI? Because I write all my own content too. All the ideas are my ideas, but sometimes it's helpful to.
Yeah.
Grammar was never my best subject. So.
I thought it was until I started posting, and then people were like, by the way, you spelled the wrong. I'm like, so I had so many spelling mistakes at first because I would just fly through it. I'm like, this post is fire. It's going to get 100 likes. Had all these spelling mistakes, got 3 likes. And I was like, maybe I should use Claude or some tool to just spell check. So I definitely do that. But really my content journey started in 2020 when I started my first business, which was called Tipper. It was a tipping business for New York City residential properties. I lived in a property in Brooklyn Heights. It had 40 staff members, and you tip at the end of the year in New York City. So to go out and get money and write cards and find people took me weeks. So my uncle actually had this idea, well, why don't we just have an app? There's Venmo. Why don't we create an app for this? So we created the company, whatever, but I went hard into LinkedIn, and I just was posting all the time and commenting, and I got a huge client out of that, an airline. And I exited that business, but I always remembered LinkedIn being powerful.
Yeah.
So when I left a small investment shop in October of 24, I was like, let me just go back on LinkedIn and I want to network more. I just want to start posting about being an operator in asset management, talk about prop tech. And I got on so many phone calls with investors and prop tech companies and marketers, and I just shared my journey. I think one of them was with
Yeah.
you. I remember being outside in Brooklyn Heights talking to you.
That's how we connected in the first
Yeah.
place. Your LinkedIn came across my feed. And I was like, I
Yeah,
need to.
it's all so much has been so much of the opportunities that I've had over the past 18 months has been through LinkedIn, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But I just started being obsessed with posting on it and just sharing my journey and the things I was learning. And my follower account started growing, and the opportunities for sponsored ads and or sponsored posts and come speak at this event and all these different things. And most importantly, the people I met.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. So I just got really obsessed with posting and sharing and making sure that my content was different. A year and a half ago or 2 years ago, it was all this fluff on LinkedIn. I thought, if you could do it, you could do it. Just keep going. Real estate's hard. I saw this like inspirational stuff, which is nice, but it wasn't practical. It wasn't useful. So I was like, let me just build in public. I'm learning how to use ChatGPT. Let me share a video of what I'm doing in it. And it just compounded and eventually turned into me meeting two other people who were on a similar journey and starting the CRE AI Studio. It all just, none of this was by design. I just was like, let me post on LinkedIn because I saw how great it was 5 years ago. And it all brought me to where I'm at today, which I'm super grateful for.
What does CRE Studio look like 5 years from now?
I truly think so. It's an educational platform. It is a workshop / training system as well. But I really think the consulting piece of it, which we're just starting to launch now, is going to be the biggest because
Palantir for commercial real estate tech.
love that. I'm putting that on our website. Education is incredible. People do want to learn, but education is hard. Staying on top of AI education, which changes every damn day, is even harder. So you're really only going to have the super motivated people, the people who want to build themselves for the most part in an educational platform like ours. And I'm seeing that now. Like education is sexy, it's fleeting.
Is it mostly younger commercial real estate professionals, or is it?
No, there's a mix.
Yeah.
There's a mix of older, younger, but definitely a lot of people are smaller companies who could take the lessons that we're teaching in all these different platforms and build in different solutions. I mean, there's still a lot of people at larger companies who I can only use Copilot. I like your Copilot sessions, but it's young, old, different verticals within real estate as well. But I truly think consulting is going to be where the real future of this business is. Because again, education's nice, but I have to do that myself. I have to learn these things. I have to learn how to then bring it to my company and apply it. But consulting is, you're actually going to come to my company and build this out for us. And now it's custom to us, and we're going to learn it together as an enterprise.
So we've demoed Move On AI and a few of the other
good
competitors.
guys.
Move On's awesome. First off, the guys running it are great,
Yeah.
and I'm blanking out on the other competitors, but we've demoed them as well, and just really great products and smart teams. And we held off implementing because at the rate the technology is iterating, does it make sense to build your own stack in-house, or does it make sense to buy versus build?
That's the billion-dollar question. I am such a proponent of building. Maybe I'm missing one. There's 3 different routes. You could keep doing what you're doing, which is not sustainable. You could buy. So you could pay $1 to $2 a unit or whatever the model is. But then you're reliant on that company to continue to update their processes and their technology. And a lot of these companies are not they're trying to be one size fits all, but every organization's different. We all have different needs.
Yeah.
And then the third is build. So I do think it could be a combination of all 3. You don't need to automate and apply AI to everything. Building or buying rather is nice because now you're paying for a service that if you trust these people, they're working on this company every day. You know where accountability lies if things go wrong, liability, et cetera. But there are complex systems out there. I'm not building necessarily an Agora or in a Juniper Square tomorrow. There's other platforms out there that I wouldn't even try to build right now, at least. But then there's the third route, which is the build, which this is what I do. I'm vibe coding all day. I'm building in Claude code all day. These are things as simple as the skills that we referenced before, analyzing a P&L for a variety of different things and sending an email, or it's actually building like a CRM where it is, I built a CRM in Manus where it is finding thousands of different for the studio newsletters that we could reach out to try to, work with sponsorships, or at my day job, find different buildings that we could potentially buy We buy below 96th Street in Manhattan. We buy in Williamsburg and Greenpoint and Brooklyn Heights in Brooklyn, et cetera. Finding different properties that we think could fit our buy box, and then having this tool, the CRM essentially, that is now
Sure.
reaching out automatically with, under my approval or our acquisitions team's approval. That's a combination of term sheet and monday.com and MailChimp all baked into one that I built for $200 in credits on Manus.
Same.
So I don't want to simplify it because you see too much of that. Oh, it's so easy, just build everything yourself. But especially these micro things that instead of paying $1 or $2 a unit or $100 per person per month, if you learn how to use these tools, you could build this stuff yourself.
Sure. But putting out LOIs, like a lot of those tasks are mindless tasks that the acquisitions team would prefer not to work on and work on things that are more impactful to the company. So by automating these little tasks, it allows people to work on what's most impactful and interesting. So we have time for one more question. For all the asset managers listening that maybe aren't leveraging tech to the fullest capacity today, what is if you could recommend one specific implementation or tool or skill set to learn, what would that be?
I would say focus on Claude, because more and more companies are starting to adopt Claude. It is specifically Claude Cowork. I would focus on that and really learn how to build, and it's not hard. Build these different skills. I referenced one being this P&L analyzer skill. I have, I think, 15 or 20 different asset management skills that range from investor deck presentation, financial analysis, accounting stuff, email triage, making sure I haven't missed an email from an investor, making sure that 75 properties, 75 different loans. I have a crazy amount of work when it comes to loan compliance at the end of the month after the quarter end. Really just taking all the skills that we're doing ourselves, teaching Claude how to do it, and then actually building that muscle to, on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, actually use it. Again, I've got 75 properties. I have a super small team. I'm using AI so much to actually run this portfolio. Without it, we would need 6 to 10 people probably. With it, it's 2 people. It's incredible. So I would focus on Claude, specifically Cowork, get really good at that, and then look at other things.
Jonathan, this was amazing. The CRE AI Caesar. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.